Ross Twiddle from Cultaholic.com, and welcome to all the WTF moments from last night's thrilling installment of Friday Night SmackDown. And once again, this was an episode of Friday Night SmackDown that was so boring and where nothing of note happened. Lol JK, potentially the biggest thing to happen in WWE for quite some time, happened right at the end of last night's SmackDown. I really enjoyed this week's SmackDown. This week's SmackDown was very, very good in my humble opinion. This is weird, isn't it? This is weird to say. How often do we get a good episode of Friday Night SmackDown? Not very often. I can't believe that Roman Reigns, the big dog himself, is a bloody Paul Heyman guy. As I did in the news video earlier today, that revelation at the end of the show, it had me going... Hit the intro man. I've lost the plot. Roman Reigns is a Paul Heyman guy. Who saw this coming? WTF! And Adam Pearce, in your own words, as you tried to split up every single backstage altercation in WWE history. Up there, pal. What are you doing, man? What are you doing that for? What are you doing, man? Going in for a handshake in this day and this age. There's no wonder Vince McMahon looked at you like you're a piece of poo on the bottom of my shirt. You don't do that these days, man. Now I've got to make this a WTF moment because, quite frankly, I forgot. But bloody hell, how deep is Vince McMahon's voice here in the year 2020? I had to slow the speed of SmackDown right down while watching that opening segment from last night's show just to understand what exactly Vince McMahon was saying. The deepness of the voice, the gravel. The gravel of that voice, it was unbelievable. Remember back in the day when Kane would speak with that voice box thing and he would speak about setting himself on fire? Well, that's a bit like Vince McMahon today, which means we need to bring back gimmick infringement Kane himself for Vince McMahon stealing late 1990s Kane's voice box. And quite frankly, Vince McMahon, gimmick infringement Kane has told me he's going to do nothing to you because he's grateful for all the opportunities. Haha! But the real WTF moment from that scene there has got to be when Vince McMahon told mere mortal man Adam Pearce, go and find the Firefly Funhouse, knock on the door, go inside because on last night's SmackDown, there was a Firefly Funhouse segment scheduled to happen. And quite frankly, Mr. McMahon, and you know what I'm gonna say right now, that's not how the Firefly Funhouse should work. The magic, the mystique, the aura of the Firefly Funhouse is completely lost if we're just gonna treat this thing, this entity, as a backstage set, just backstage in any old arena in the world anyone can just walk onto. It shouldn't be treated like that. Make it more special. Tell me one thing I did not expect to see or hear on last night's SmackDown, and that was Vince McMahon himself saying to Mr. Adam Pearce, "Say hello to Huskus. I love that guy." I don't know why Vince McMahon did a really big when he did it, but he did it anyway. Anyway, Vince McMahon continues, "Man, what a loud burp!" So yes, it would turn out Vince McMahon likes Huskus the pig boy. Vince McMahon likes Huskus the pig boy. Vince McMahon likes Huskus the pig boy, which is a surprise, by the way, because traditionally Vince McMahon likes beef. Maggle, 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 maggle. And was anybody else listening to Michael Cole having a go at AJ Styles? Yes, I know that AJ Styles is a professional wrestling heel, and we should have been laughing along with Michael Cole. But I was thinking, Maggle, you're a tosser, aren't you? You're just a massive tosser. Maggle was sat there saying to AJ Styles, you weren't cleared to compete. But now we had Jeff Hardy on last week's SmackDown, and Jeff Hardy didn't want to even ask the doctor any questions. He just wanted to wrestle. Does that mean Jeff Hardy is tougher than you, AJ Styles? And I'm just asking the question, how can Maggle Cole ask such a poo house question to AJ Styles when we all all saw on last week's SmackDown how the medical team, through gritted teeth, cleared Jeff Hardy when maybe they didn't want to, but Jeff was just so keen, so they were like, go on, pal, what do you like? I was just sat there thinking AJ Styles' head trauma that he received after taking a knee brace to the cranium on last week's SmackDown, that must have just been a risk that wasn't worth taking, having AJ Styles compete on this week's SmackDown. What a dick Michael Cole is, eh? But we knew that anyway, didn't we? Mago, 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 mago. And then while going through Shinsuke Nakamura's accomplishments inside the squared circle of the WWE ring, while of course Shinsuke Nakamura was challenging for the Intercontinental Championship, Michael Cole did not mention that Shinsuke Nakamura is a former Intercontinental Champion. And considering the match Shinsuke Nakamura was having at the time, Michael Cole was going through all of the accomplishments, that's weird. And I was just thinking, Michael Cole, put your weird kink for upsetting AJ Styles to one side, you unbearable prick, and tell us some facts. And then behind Big Dick Tony himself, we saw something really, really shocking. It would appear that might just be the return of the painting. But it would appear the painting has turned heel and a little bit emo and maybe even a little bit grungy. You see, once upon a time that painting was bright and breezy and a lovely bit of artwork. But now it would appear the same painting is a bit more gritty, a bit more rugged, a bit more rough around the edges, and on top of that, it's leaking from itself. And then we had Michael Cole claiming that former Intercontinental Champion himself, Shinsuke Nakamura, was looking to win his first Intercontinental Championship in that match against Jeff Hardy on last night's SmackDown. And I'm asking, how's that possible? And WWE, I don't know if Michael Cole was doing this on purpose, but why are we pretending that Shinsuke Nakamura has never won the Intercontinental title? We all know he has. And then Sami Zayn came back, and my goodness, was it lovely to see Sami Zayn back or what? But then I was in bed this morning looking at Instagram like you do when you wake up. You can't put your phone down when you first wake up, and I saw something shared by Corey Graves, and that's it there. And quite frankly, when it came to Sami Zayn returning, when I was watching SmackDown, I couldn't get that out my head. The hair, the beard, it's all there, and even though I've got no idea what that thing is there that Corey Graves is claiming Sami Zayn looks like, I just can't get out my head. It's Sami, isn't it? So at the start of the show, if you remember, Vince McMahon gave Adam Pearce a costume to wear for when Adam Pearce went and knocked on the door of that set backstage, the Firefly Funhouse. Postman Pearce then rocks up inside the Firefly Funhouse, and what's more, Bray Wyatt seemed to know that Postman Pearce was going to arrive inside the Firefly Funhouse, gave him the big welcome. There was a rhyme ready for Postman Pearce. Bray Wyatt knew that Postman Pearce was coming. And does anybody else find it weird that now Bray Wyatt and Vince McMahon appear to be in cahoots? Vince McMahon gives Adam Pearce a costume Bray Wyatt knew was coming to the Firefly Funhouse. That is absolutely terrifying and, quite frankly, absolutely nonsensical. And since, of course, I stand in front of you, an overweight professional wrestling fan who wears nothing outside of a black t-shirt and some shorts and some trainers, but today, as you see, I've got my summer collection black hoodie on. Burton's. It cost about £6. I know all of the fashion, I know the latest trends on the high street, I know what's hot and what's not, but I thought it weird and WTF moment worthy that Matt Riddle would rock up to this week's SmackDown sporting the crimpled haircut Lady Biles herself, Stephanie McMahon, would wear all the way back in the year 2001. Unbelievable, eh? And then we have a direct quote from Matt Riddle himself to big baldy bastard Baron Corbin, when Matt Riddle said, "Corbin, come on, I know it's hard to get that little crown on your big little cranium." Big little cranium. Weed must be fun. What is this, says Sasha Banks? A couple of clowns playing with their meat? WWE are moving into the porn industry with Otis and Tucker starring in WWE's first ever porn flick. Two clowns playing with their meat. Ho ho! My life hits new lows every week here, doesn't it? I will get my vengeance, said Sasha Banks as she looked right at Bayley. And I don't know if you can get bigger than the Big Show's ding-a-ling that we mentioned in reference to the little things that Sasha Banks has been doing alongside Bayley on SmackDown over the past few months, teasing this inevitable face turn for Sasha and further heel turn for Bayley in the split of the golden role models, but they do continue to get even bigger every single week. She said she will get her vengeance while looking right to Pamela in the face. I'll get my vengeance on you, so I will. But in saying, or at least inferring, that she wants to screw Bayley out of one of, if not both, of the titles Pamela currently owns, Sasha Banks says that she wants to walk out of Payback still with her women's tag team title in hand. And after Shayna Baszler said to Nia Jax on this week's Raw, Nia, I want to win the women's tag team titles, but after we do so, you better get off my back and you better leave me alone. It would appear that nobody wants the women's tag team titles. But then we have Michael Cole, after probably, I hope he was, after watching Sasha Banks saying she wants to get her vengeance. Her vengeance on Bayley, said the only thing that will get Sasha Banks and Bayley through their women's tag team title defense this Sunday at Payback is their friendship. And when I heard Michael Cole say that, initially I was like, what the hell? No, hold up there, Michael Cole. But then I was like, what does Michael Cole actually do during these segments? I play with my big dog! And I just think it's fantastic that Braun Strowman has either joined the Truth Commission or Braun Strowman has now started borrowing Michael Hayes' clothing from when Michael Hayes was the manager of the Hardy Boys. So tight. And now it's time for this to make a bloody return to WTF Moments.
Wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank. Wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank.
Hello and welcome back to Wankety Wank, the section of these WTF moments where you, a sexual wank faison, tweet me with a WTF moment I have missed from a pro wrestling show, then I give you all the credit, just in case it's wrong. Thank you very much goes to Georgia and to Clowny J for perhaps pointing out that Corey Graves hasn't seen Jurassic Park. I haven't seen Jurassic Park, so yeah. That was it, yeah, that was it. I just thought I'd include that because I thought it was funny. Oh, Christ! It's Alexa Bliss! I assumed that Alexa Bliss must have been released and or fired from WWE because of course she played such an integral role in the build-up to the Universal title match at SummerSlam 2020, but when SummerSlam 2020 came around, Alexa Bliss was nowhere to be seen, and that was really, really weird. But there she was on last night's SmackDown, which does appear to confirm that she wasn't fired from WWE, and first of all confirms that her lack of appearance on Sunday at SummerSlam 2020 was a WTF moment, and the fact that, you know, she's there last night after being missing at SummerSlam, it must be a WTF moment too, maybe. I don't know anymore. But Alexa Bliss is starting to put dreadlocks in her hair. Who else does that in WWE? I hear you ask. It's, of course, is Bray Wyatt. The Fiend has worked his devilish ways on Alexa Bliss just like he has with everybody else he's come up against, and Alexa Bliss is changing. I'm going there from me pictures videos over the past couple of pay-per-views, Payback and SummerSlam. I want to see the debut of a Twisted Bliss character because it's a play on words from an old finisher move off the top rope. Fantastic stuff. This would appear to be the first step to a brand new character for Alexa Bliss, aligning herself with a Fiend, and I'm all on board for it. Come on, Alexa. And as I live and breathe, you nameless assailant, you, thank you for spreading the good name of Cultaholic throughout the WWE Thunderdome. Next time you Thunderdome, do what they've done. And thank you to everyone, by the way, who sent me tweets saying, look at me, I'm ready for the Thunderdome. But I should really include them in the video, shouldn't I? I'll do it now. I was going to say no because you didn't make it on the Thunderdome, but that would be me being an arsehole, wouldn't it? And I'm not an arsehole anymore. Honestly, I'm a nice guy, so here we go. And Roman Reigns was very off with Adam Pearce, wasn't he? Roman Reigns was making demands like a really sassy and entitled prick, wasn't he? Roman Reigns mentioned that he's going to get back the Universal title that he never lost by pinfall and or submission, and that's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. And oh my tits, my nipples went incredibly hard when the camera moved around and there was Paul Heyman on the same casting couch as Roman Reigns. I told you before, WWE are moving into the porn industry, and quite frankly, that reveal could have been porn. It was so bloody good. I screamed like a little girl. I'll do it again now. Roman Reigns is now a Paul Heyman guy, and the world is just about to end. And not just for AJ Styles, who of course reportedly, according to the news, which means it has to be absolutely 100% correct, he left Monday Night Raw because he fell out with Paul Heyman because of what Paul Heyman did to Gallows and Anderson, being a prick, reportedly, to them. He's moved to SmackDown, and now Paul Heyman is a manager of Roman Reigns, who of course is on SmackDown. AJ Styles moving to NXT and/or Raw. Probably coming up soon, you would have thought. But I reckon the world might end for WWE as well. You see, not too long ago, Paul Heyman was far from his executive director's role on Monday Night Raw. And I reckon he's hired some people to cause some havoc, play some practical jokes on WWE shows since. Roman Reigns, of course, made his return the night that Retribution conveniently couldn't get inside the Thunderdome to interfere in SummerSlam 2020, the night where Roman Reigns made his big return to WWE. And it was weird, of course, how the next night on Raw, which of course was held inside the same Thunderdome that SummerSlam 2020 was, Retribution got inside, but Paul and Roman, of course, being on Smackity Down, were nowhere to be seen. So Roman wants Retribution to win back the title he never lost properly, and Paul Heyman wants Retribution for losing his executive director's job. I reckon we might have something here, brothers. I'm not just shooting on you. Pew pew. So while that's one thing we could see happening, one thing I don't think we'll see is Roman Reigns being a proper definitive professional wrestling heel. I think this new Roman Reigns, with his lovely new teeth and his bigger muscles and his lovelier tan, he's a 10.5 out of 10. He's sensational, isn't he? What I think we'll see from this new version of Roman Reigns is just more no-nonsense, more badass Roman Reigns, which is what he should have been all along. And to boot, he's now got Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece. The less talking, the more arse kicking from Roman Reigns, the better, quite frankly. One thing I do hope we see, though, is new gear and a new theme for Roman. Gotta happen. The time is now. So that's it from a bloody earth-shattering episode of Friday Night SmackDown. I've been Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic. Thank you once again for watching this utter bollocks. I'll see you Monday for Payback. It never bloody ends. Ta-da.